Okay.
All right, guys. Be'ezat Hashem na'aleh v'natzliach. Welcome to the Lighthouse Project. Very excited to be back here again for another class. Last week, in our part of this series, and last week, we took a closer look at love and lust, hate and anger. Last week's class was about love and lust and the differences between them. And we saw a lot of different interesting viewpoints of love from many different angles: science, psychology, therapist view, even ancient Greek. And all were convinced that love is an abstract feeling that's in the mind and that can be developed towards a human, an animal, inanimate objects, religion, and even God, which is a huge contrast from the Jewish standpoint of what we believe love is. Because in Judaism, we believe that love is an action. Love is when you do an act of kindness or a loving act towards another person, that develops love. We saw the difference between marriages that are doomed from the start and marriages that are set up for success, from the couples that are set up with similar interests, similar goals, similar values, and a marriage that is set up for success with newness and longevity as its goal, with Hashem and the Torah as its guiding light. We also discovered the way to love God through the performance of the mitzvot, and we're able to bring the whole Torah to one concept, to one tagline. Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha, which we derived it from the Gemara, from Masechet Shabbat, that says in Aramaic, De'alech sani le'chavrecha lo ta'avid zohi kol haTorah. Do not do unto others what you don't want done to you. We learned from Hillel HaZaken. In other words, Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha is a very big concept in Judaism. And we signed off with wanting to spread love all over the world. And performing love as an action and not expecting anything in return. And all that was an exercise to develop the Middot. Because at the end of the day, we're in the middle of working on our character refinement and how to develop our Middot of chesed, love, control, judgment, focus, and a way to connect and elevate to a higher level of consciousness in order to emulate Hashem and His characteristics. And truly to be B'Tselem Elokim, in His image. Tonight, we're going to explore the flip side of the coin. The opposite of love. Hate. And the many emotions and actions that come along with it. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge tonight's learning is sponsored by H&M Builders as part of the Issachar and Zevulun sponsorship. A dear friend, Joseph Dornbush, may Hashem bless him. Bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadecha. And Be'ezat Hashem, he'll be able to go higher and higher in Avodat Hashem. Beautiful zivug, bimhera, bimhera, bimhera. And may H&M Builders build a lot of buildings and have a lot of success. Amen. This is also for the Refuah Shlema of Menachem Mendel Ben Sarabatia and Devor Fega Bat Rezel. I'd also like to include over there for the health and quick recovery of Rav Yeshayahu Yosef Pinto Ben Rabbanit Zari, who needs our prayers. Let's get started. What is hate? The dictionary simply explains it as intense or passionate dislike for someone. So how do you get that? How do you intensely dislike someone? How do you even begin to hate? How do you begin to have a person or race or religion or family or friends or strangers, how do you begin to hate those people? How do you hate everyone? Or how do you even hate yourself?
You don't have to hate anyone. You don't have to hate anyone.
Right, but it's out there in the world, and we're going to look into it. How is it possible that people fall into hate? Well, if you want to know how somebody can hate, simply put, it seems to be that people hate something or someone that is different from them. If you don't share the same views, ideologies, lifestyle, or even share the same God, that becomes the breeding ground in people's mind for hate. See, the insecurity of someone being different from you develops into hate. And that kind of hate is called projection. It's a very unique type of hate. In other words, I'm insecure about myself, be it because of my culture, my weight, my hair, my finances, my religion, whatever. I'm not being comfortable in my skin. And rather than deal with my insecurities, I project my hatred onto you, a different person. Because if I don't deflect this negative energy to somebody else, if I don't deflect this negative energy towards another person, I will probably hate myself. And most people would rather hate someone else than themselves. Most people rather hate someone else than do the work necessary to love another person. See, this word projection means that I've got some work to do on myself to become a whole person. That's if you want to do the work. If you don't, then you split yourself into two. One is things that I don't want to know about myself. For example, a person sometimes runs away from dealing with their heritage, like their race, their religion, or different cultures. Or if you're Jewish, religion, God, mitzvot. People want to run away from that. And since they don't want to deal with that part of their life, they project those things to other people. And they say, you know what, let that guy carry that for me. Let him be the religious Jew. Let him be the one that deals with mitzvot. Not me. Become a split personality. They do that part. They do the job that I'm supposed to do. Now, since I don't want to discover the truth in each of those topics for myself, you start to compartmentalize yourself. You start to become like boxes. You start breaking yourself into boxes that define me versus things that are external to me or to my experience and that are repressing my identity. And this resistance to the unknown causes a split in your identity. In other words, if I'm a Jew, and as a Jew I have to, at one point, deal with the fact that I'm Jewish, my heritage, the history, Torah, God, and we know there's many people that don't want that as part of their life. So they push that into, there's a religious Jew, and then there's me. Because in order for them to discover that part of them, it needs work. So now it's easier if somebody else becomes that version of a Jew, and they stay comfortably numb to who they are. Let's move forward. See, this resistance to the unknown causes a split in your identity to the you that you know and the you that you don't want to know and hate. Because the you that you don't want to know leads you to find out that the inner me is the enemy. That there's many times that the person is the one that's standing in the way of their growth. there's a concept that the inner you is actually the one that's stifling you from your development. It's being self-destructive, self-hate. And it's just because you don't want to discover yourself in certain areas in your life. Now, this
question. What about people that understand that they have a Jewish identity, and yet they look towards other religions, like, for example, Buddhism?
they're just lost for the moment. They're seeking spirituality in the wrong place. They're spiritual.
Yeah.
You know, more versions of that. It's not just Buddhism or Christianity. Younger people go to nightclubs for spirituality. Music is a huge part of being spiritual. You can tap into the power of music. It makes you, it's on a very high level. In Pt2, the Leviim used to play music for a reason. There's no reason, there's no surprise there was music in Pt2. Not only that, they take mind-altering drugs in order to what? To reach highs.
But not metallic rock.
I don't know.
I cannot understand that.
No,
Maybe some people do reach it, but I do not understand that.
Right. It's okay. I guess there's different
I have
genres.
an open mind, but I cannot understand that. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So this lack of tolerance or willpower to be accepting of one another, or respectful of one another, or willing to see life with another set of lenses besides the ones that you have on, causes the initial core feeling of hate that typically gets a partner in crime. A secondary emotion called anger. See, anger is a basic human emotion experienced by all people. Typically, one of the primary human emotions, like fear or sadness, can be found underneath the anger. It's a secondary emotion. You see, feeling fear and sadness, it's quite uncomfortable for some people.
So resistance to accept oneself is hate.
No.
No. You said something about resistance.
The resistance to being able to explore who you are, without splitting yourself up, like, this is me, and whatever I don't want to find out about me, you push it off to other people that they can be that, and it causes you to hate. We'll get into it. It's actually coming up right here.
Okay,
but
so the resistance to
working on yourself.
To what?
To working on yourself, the character refinement, working on your Middot, becoming a better version of yourself. Right. You have to look at yourself as being raw. That you have certain character traits that are good and certain things that are bad. And you want to work on yourself. Whatever is good, you want to promote it. Whatever deficiencies you have, you want to work on it to become better. People that don't want to work on it, they start becoming compartmentalizing. And they want to do is they want to deal with people that are like them, that share the same views, images, thoughts. Anything that's not like them, they hate. And we'll develop that idea more. We're just building a little bit over here on some levels, so we can get to the punchline.
So you were saying feeling fear and sadness?
Those are the primary emotions. People don't like those feelings. So in order not to feel those feelings, anger comes into the picture and starts to take over. So, since one of the primary emotions like fear or sadness can be found underneath the anger, feeling fear and sadness is, again, quite uncomfortable for some people. It makes you feel vulnerable and oftentimes not in control. Because of this, people try to avoid these feelings in any way that they can. And subconsciously, they shift into anger. Now, as people are protecting themselves from getting hurt or losing control in their world, anger flares up, fueled by hatred. They'll strengthen the divide in the psyche. What's happening? Nobody wants to get hurt, and nobody wants to get out of their comfort zone. So as soon as you become vulnerable, where somebody has the power to hurt you, Or as soon as you feel that you're losing control of whatever your little bubble of a world is, something comes into the picture. It's like a defense mechanism of anger. By showing anger, you're starting to, in a way, defend yourself. It's a natural human reaction. It's a secondary emotion, anger. It's all connected to something else that brings it up to the surface. And it's all because people don't want to either lose control or become vulnerable to somebody else. And we're talking about being vulnerable to somebody else. That's to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers, people that you're sharing an environment with. Sometimes they have the power to hurt you. Now we know that to meet and interact with any other human, it leaves you vulnerable to their actions and words. That's life. That's this world.
What does vulnerable mean in this
It means
case?
that you're open to. There's a chance that you are not protected.
You're weak.
Yeah,
You're in a weak
it's
state.
like Superman, and he gets kryptonite, he's born.
Yeah. Now he's compromised. You can hurt him. He doesn't have the protection anymore.
Right.
When you're not in control, somebody can hurt you. When you are out of your comfort zone, when you don't have, it makes you feel that somebody can hurt you, and right away people have a defense mechanism. It's a human feeling. Now,
Instead of saying out of control, wouldn't it be better to say out of your environment as opposed to out of control?
well, out of control is being that a lot of people like to control, you're the word control freaks. They like to control their lives, everything that's going on around them. There's other people that live life knowing that Hashem is driving the bus. And
Exactly.
they accept life.
Exactly.
We're not talking about those people. Those are at the end.
Okay.
We're talking about the people that are going through it right now. They're dealing with stress, hate, anger. That's the first part of the
But
lesson.
if they knew that Hashem is in control, they wouldn't have all of those things.
That's Hashem. They'll get to find out soon. We'll give them some good tips. Now,
Sorry.
You're ruining his punchline.
I don't
no,
mean to
it's there.
ruin it, but it's...
She knows it's there. It's coming. But I got a couple that you won't expect.
Okay.
Now,
He's got to finish on time.
yeah, let's do this. Why don't we do some of the questions till the end? Just to get so
Okay,
like that.
okay.
So like that we can have the flow of the lesson go, and then I'll take as many questions as you want. Now, like we said, it's impossible to be a human being in this world and not to be vulnerable to people because of their actions and words. Because another person is running on a whole different set of values, different education, social circles, different goals, different outlook. So it's a whole new world in each person. And it's impossible to always be in control, especially of other people. And we know that in this world there are people that control other people. Parents, kids, husbands, wives, presidents. Or how about, like at work, anybody who's got one position over you, they like to be controlled. It's something that's common in this life. So when people are out of their control mode, different emotions come into the picture. Now, if you're a well-rounded individual and are willing to interact in God's world and the people that live in it, then it becomes a skill and an art how to deal and interact with people. But you can also just stay in your bubble and hate anyone that's not in it. So now we've given the definition of hate and anger, more or less. But let's define each one a little more in detail. And let's see what Judaism's approach is to ka'as v'sin'ah. Ka'as v'sin'ah is hate and anger. Keep in mind that the purpose of this lesson is Middot, refining our character. We're trying to find a better way to run this machine, a better way to go through life with having a good skill set of how to go through life and not fall into the traps of Yetzer Hara. So the Middot, which are a person's character traits, his nature, Middot are typically either positive or negative qualities that form a person's behavior patterns. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about anger. Anger, if a person has a lot of pride and is conceited, which is a bad character trait, as soon as they get angry, what do? They lose control. After they lose control, they begin to express themselves by yelling and cursing. Very common. Then they start speaking in highly colorful terms that reflect their inner thoughts. People that yell and scream, it's amazing what comes out of their mouth. Because what's happening is their mind has all these images and thoughts coming through, and it's coming out at a really fast pace. So it's very different when the person's settled down and having a quiet conversation with you. It's very interesting how people fight.
Doesn't the Torah say that when they become like that, it's like a demon got into the person and he's out of it totally?
You are so good. That's like 2 pages from here. You're good. You're good.
I don't want to be good.
You're good. Marcella, we need a class for her next week.
I think she should stream with you.
Yeah, I think you're giving me all the assists in that. Now, when people are angry and lose control, their thinking can get exaggerated and overly dramatic. And the people that are conceited don't think about insulting or embarrassing another person. They don't care. They're angry. They'll embarrass another person, insult them, and shamble them to the ground. And they don't care to hurt or cause pain. That's a person that's angry and is, let's just say, a conceited or angry, a person that comes from Gava. On the flip side of it, a person who's humble, who has anava, who's got good character traits, when anger comes into the picture, how do they react? Instead of losing control, they stay in control. Instead of expressing themselves by yelling and cursing, they speak softly. They respect others and their opinions. In other words, even if the person in front of them is saying something completely opposite from what they think and they believe, they'll appreciate it as their opinion. They'll actually help and assist another person as they're going through this emotion. And they're also very inclusive and considerate. And I've seen people like this. I've seen people that can actually sit down and have one guy bouncing off walls out of anger for whatever it is, and the other person is just calm and collected and able to knock some sense into the person. You can see that 2 people are working with 2 different skill sets. One person is refined in their character, the other one is a loose cannon. See, emotions, which is what we're talking about right now, are like a muscle. What do I mean by that? You have to flex the muscle. You know, when you go to the gym, the more you work out, the bigger the muscles get, right? It's the same thing with emotions. The more you flex your love, your anger, your happiness, the better you're going to be at it. I'll give you some example. The more you train that emotion, the more it's going to be effective. The more you focus and develop that emotion, the more control you'll have over it. I'll give you an example. Love. If that emotion of love comes into the picture, and all day long, I'm flexing my love muscle in my head. I love my wife. I love what she's doing for me. I love the fact that, I can go back to the past of how we dated. I love the fact of what she's doing for me today. I love the fact of what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm flexing that muscle of love, and I'm building it up. So when I see her, my love is built up for her.
It works. That works.
It works. Let me give you something that is more commonly used. Hate. I hate that guy. Flexing my hate muscle now. That guy's upsetting me. Let me pick up the phone. Let me tell somebody else about it. You know what? You know what he did to me today? Yeah, he did this and that. And he sent me an email. What? I'm going to forward it to you. And then right after in the afternoon, he's repeating it. Like CNN breaking news to everybody. He's flexing that muscle. As soon as he sees him 2 days later, he's ready to pop. Emotions are muscles. The more you work it out, the more you can use them. I'll give you another one. 2 classes ago, we spoke about revealing happiness, and we said, how can we get happy? And we said, it's work. You got to do it. You got to wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to be happy. Today nothing is going to upset me. Today, no matter what comes up, I'm going to take it in stride. I'm working out my happiness muscle. Emotions are muscles. You have to work on them and prepare. So like that, when you work yourself up to that emotion, you're ready for it, whether good or bad. But that's what happens with angry people. They work themselves up, right?
And then they have heart attacks.
God forbid, but it does. Stress, anger causes a lot of stress, strokes. But just to show you that it's very interesting. Sometimes we think sometimes we think that emotions are just these passing things. But the thing is, we build up our emotions. Now, not accepting people or situations bubbles up the feelings of loss of control or hurt and sadness that things are not going your way. And in turn, you have people that give themselves a license to kill, or a license to hate, or a license to get angry, or a license to do the wrong things and make wrong decisions. I'll give you an example. Someone's running late to an appointment. Right away, as soon as that guy is 15 minutes late, that person's got the license to yell and scream. You're late, you're making me late for the rest of my appointment, I can't believe it, my time is money. They get into it. Why are you yelling? Yelling is not okay. No, I have the right to yell because you're late. They give themselves a license to be angry. I'll give you an example. Sometimes with parents. The kids didn't clean up the room. So the parent starts to yell and scream, why didn't you clean up the room? It's a mess. I've been asking you for 2 days. There's a different way to parenting. There's a different way to speak to the child. No, they didn't clean up the room. You just gave yourself a license to be angry or an angry person because they didn't clean up the room. People find reasons to be okay with that emotion or with that, like we said, secondary emotion, something else under the surface. Or, very commonly today, I don't like to bring up these subjects, I don't like to get political, but if you watch it on the news, license to kill, we have it. If he's not a Muslim, he must die. If he doesn't share my views of God, he has to die. They give themselves a license to kill. The book says, if you don't think like me, I have a license to kill you. So you can see it's in the home, it's in the street, it's in the world.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Now, giving yourself a reason for it to be okay, or to get angry, or to hate, doesn't make it right or just. When I was putting this class together, I was thinking about myself. I always want to say, where does it show in my life? So I come from Moroccan descent, and Moroccans are known to have a little bit of a hot temper. Explosives, right? And there's a tagline, there's a little line that you always hear around Moroccans. I'll say it in Hebrew now, and then I'll explain. It says, "Ani lo atzbani, ma'atzbanim oti." In other words, I'm not an angry person. People anger me. Usually I'm not like this, but they're upsetting me, so I'm angry. You hear that a lot. It's like their thing. It's like,
In the Middle East, not just Moroccans.
I could imagine.
Persians, Turks.
It's a cultural
It's in the blood. It's in the blood.
So what that does is basically what people are doing are rationalizing. Now, rationalizing is Yetzer Hara's number one play. What the Yetzer Hara does is he takes your own set of values and he plays mind tricks on you. He takes your own set of values and tries to convince you that the hate, the anger, and the wrong decision that you're about to make right now is okay. Because, again, ABC 1, 2, 3, take your choice of why it's okay for you to be wrong. Everybody rationalizes why they can be angry, why they can yell, why they can kill, why they can be mean. Everybody has a reason, and that's what Yetzer Hara wants you to do. He wants you to constantly rationalize, make up excuses why it's okay. If you ever catch yourself doing that, know he's in control. Now, being a hater has been with us from the beginning of time. We had it in Cain and Hevel, two brothers. We had it in Yitzhak and Ishmael, another two brothers. We had Yaakov and Esav, another story over there. We had it between nations, Amalek and Israel. We have it over here as a race, the Jews versus the Gentiles, Goyim versus the Yehudim. You know, the Jews, when did we become Jews? When we got the Torah. Where did we get the Torah? On Har Sinai. The rabbis tell us, why is it called Har Sinai? They said because Sinai sounds like sin'ah, sounds like hatred. And why is that? Because when the Torah came down, they say sin'ah yarda la'olam. When the Torah came down, hatred of the other nations to the Jews came down with it. That's why it's called Sinai. One of the reasons. And you can see the Jews and Gentiles throughout the ages have dealt with a lot of hatred towards Jews. Whether it's crusades, pogroms, inquisitions, the Holocaust, and even between Jew to Jew. Bet HaMikdash was destroyed of sin'at chinam, between Jew to Jew, for no reason. So hate's been around for a while, and it's done a lot of damage. So how do we avoid the obstacle in life that most people fail in? This hate and anger. Simply put, this means that changing the way you think, the way you act, and the way you talk. Keep in mind that this lesson is about Middot, refining your character. It's work. You want these things to change, you have to change the way you think, you act, and the way you talk. And for a Jew, it means working on your Middot. Specifically, Midat HaKa'as. Now, Chazal say, our rabbis tell us, Midat HaKa'as, Midah Ra'a Me'od. This thing called anger, this character trait called anger, is a bad one, and then they say Me'od, a very bad one. They stress that it's a very bad character trait for a person to have. And they continue to say, V'amru Chachamim, Sha'ko'es domeh le'oved avodah zara. And our sages tell us that the one that gets angry, he's equivalent to the one who worships idols. Wow. I want to ask you something. Worshipping idol means that you're going to go up the block to a church, open the door, go there, sit, bow down to that statue and say, "You are my God." That's worshipping idol worship. You're going to tell me that being angry is equivalent to that? How heavy is that? And the rabbis never let up on this one. The rabbis never made this any more lenient, like, oh, you can understand it this way or that way. They're ironclad about that one. Now, why would it be that if a person gets angry, it's considered as if he's an idol worshiper? What's the deeper meaning of that? Well, basically, when you're getting angry, you're not happy with what's going on in your life. You're upset with the cards that you've been dealt. In other words, Hashem says, this is the cards that you've been dealt today, and you're saying, no, fold. I want a different set. I want a different day today. I want a different type of outcome, a different type of scenario. So you're saying that you're going against what Hashem has said for you. What Hashem has said for you is not good for you. And you believe that what you have in mind is better than what Hashem has in place for you. And thinking that your way is better than Hashem's way is like idol worship.
Because it all goes into yourself, an ego thing.
It's trust in Hashem.
And your control.
Losing control. You're losing control. Because every moment is custom made for you. All your highs and lows are custom made for your life. The minute that you opt out of one moment, you're saying, Hashem, you got it wrong over here. I don't think you thought it through. Maybe this is better for me. Oh, really? You think you know better than Hashem? Idol worshiper. You're worshiping yourself. In Masechet Nedarim, in the Gemara Nedarim, in Amud Chaf Bet, in the 22nd page on the first side, it says something else, what our good friend mentioned before. Kol hakoes, kol minei gehenom shultim bo. Anyone who gets angered, many different types of spirits from hell are controlling him. What? That's also a heavy statement. And this is something that you hear from all rabbis. All rabbis will quote this on any given day. Now, how is it possible that when somebody is angry, there are many different types of spirits that are from hell that are controlling him? Let's go deeper and understand it. You see, when one gets angry, he has no neshama. It leaves him for the moment. When a person gets angry, his soul leaves him. Why? Because the neshama is holy. And a holy neshama cannot be in that vessel. So you become a person without a neshama. Now, one cannot live without a neshama. So what happens? The Sitra Acha comes over and fills that space. Says, no problem, here, take this one. Take this spirit inside of you. And that person gets possessed for the moment. The moment of anger, the moment of rage, the moment of hate, he gets possessed. Because a different spirit takes over during the time that he's angry. Hence the term, when I thought about it, I was like, wow. How many times do people say, hey, what's gotten into you?
The spirit.
What's gone into you?
In every language.
It's exactly that. How interesting. That one really made me like, you know, sometimes...
The Torah is so powerful.
But it's so simple sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so simple. So it's basically like you're driving a car safely, right? You're driving 35 miles an hour. And then someone else takes over the wheel and begins to drive wildly. 100 miles per hour, swerving all over the road. And that's basically what happens when you lose control of yourself. That's what happens. When you're in control, you're driving Miss Daisy. Everything's good. 35 miles per hour, everything is good. When you lose control, it's that sporadic driver swerving on the highway, pedal to the metal. Losing control. So how does one keep control? Right? Seems like keeping control is a big part of being a success. So the rabbis tell us working on Middot, which is what we've been talking about in the past few weeks. Working on your character refinement. Refining your character prepares you to be in the right state of mind for all situations. I always say this. Being in the right state of mind for all situations means you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm ready for today. There's not going to be a sneak attack. A sneak attack is when you're 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you get that phone call and you lose it. I can't believe they just called me, the deal just fell through, I can't believe it, my kid's in the hospital, I can't believe it, I just got a flat, and you're just losing it. That's it, you lost control. Something happened to your day, right? But there's a different way to do it. There's a way where you wake up in the morning and you say, I am ready for today. No matter what is going to happen, I am ready. So if you get that flat tire, it was meant to be. I'm just being slowed down because I need to be where I need to be a few hours later. Because God forbid, who knows what was supposed to happen those 2 hours. Hashem says, it's better that you stay here and fix the tire than be in that area around that time. How do we know? We don't know. That's what we believe. Or, when that business deal fell through, you don't get upset. It was meant to be. I wasn't supposed to get that money. Or maybe I'm paying dues. Maybe this whole thing of feeling like I'm supposed to make money, didn't make money, that's I'm paying some dues. That feeling is cleaning me up. Maybe Hashem wants to show it to you and take it away from you just to make you feel that emotion, to see how you're going to react to that emotion. It's a test. This is only a test. Hashem is just testing you. How are you going to react? Sometimes it's going to be with a flat tire. Sometimes it's going to be with finances. Sometimes it's going to be with emotions or shlom bayit. It's only a test. The way that you react, the way that you behave, depends on your punishment and reward. So when you wake up in the morning, I know something's going to happen today, but I'm ready for it. So when you get that phone call, yes, of course. Let's make sure that we stay calm, collected, and make some level-headed decisions rather than losing it, because it completely takes you off of where you need to be. Now, to being in the right state of mind for all occasions, number one rule is you have to be in control. You have to remain calm and think before reacting. It's work. And if as an adult you haven't gotten to that point, you need to work on it now. I mean, if I tell this to a 20-year-old, he's going to look at me, he's like, well, you seriously want me to think before I act? You know what, we got some work to do. But if it's 30...
I see 60 and 70-year-olds.
That's what I'm saying. If it's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you haven't perfected that you have to think before you react, then you have to understand it's a big, big concept that will make your life easier and will make the whole journey more enjoyable. Now, losing control, when a person loses control, completely the opposite of doing the right thing, the Yetzer Hara activates hate, anger, jealousy, conceit, ego, and confusion, and this is where the destruction starts of relationships, hurt feelings, negative reactions and interactions, and irreversible events. As soon as the Yetzer Hara has got you losing control, that's it. He's going for it. He's going to pile it on, he's going to push, he's going to create pressure. Why? Because what comes out of your mouth is destroying worlds. And mostly your world. Oftentimes, it leads also to being self-destructive. See, this self-destruction is where the Yetzer Hara has control over you, and your lack of control of yourself causes you to think, act, and talk in ways that ruin your own life.
And that's when jealousy comes in.
Yeah, and you know what happens those times? The common tagline that you have is, I don't care. And you don't care. You're ruining your own life. You're hurting your partner. You're hurting your business. You're hurting the people that you care for. You're hurting everything that's around you. And when people are even trying to point it out to you, what do you say? I don't care. Look what he's got you. When you lose control, he's got you to the point that you're destroying what you've built, destroying yourself, and you don't care about it. Like we said, sometimes the inner me is the enemy. So there's things that are a must in order to stay in control. It's actually two things. Sounds simple, you've heard them before, but I'll try to make it a little bit newer for you, because you're doing it anyways. So might as well add another layer to it. Because it's always good when you're doing one thing and it's got several different layers to it where it can activate a lot of different things. Now, it says that in order to stay in control, two things are very important. First, you have to pray for it. As a Jew, you have to pray for what you want. So if you want to stay in control, pray. The next time you're in a minyan, stop and shomea tefillah and say, Hashem, help me stay in control. By asking for it, you created a vessel. The vessel called staying in control. Now Hashem can fill you in, can fill that cup with the blessing of staying in control. But to just say, I'm going to stay in control, that means what? I can do it, right? No. Go pray for it. Create that vessel. Whatever you need in your life, pray for it, whether it's spiritually or in materialism, create the vessel, pray for it first. Even for anger and hatred, love and lust, and all the other emotions or secondary emotions in life. If you're struggling with something, pray for it. Create that vessel, and that gives Hashem the opportunity to fill it up with whatever it is that you need to deal with it. The second part is you have to study. Now we're all studying. We're studying right now. Right now we're studying. On our own we're studying. In our cars we're studying. There's Torah everywhere. God bless. Love this generation. But what are we studying? You see, learning Torah gives people education, gives them knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the more you know, the more you'll be able to figure things out for yourself. The more you try to figure it out on your own, the harder it's going to be. You have to acquire skills. In other words, if you're dealing with anger, go online, go on YouTube, and take 10 classes that talk about anger from a rabbi. Eventually, you'll get something from each lesson that will help you. If you're dealing with some sort of other issues that you need help with, take classes on that specific issue. Until you get those little skills, until you get those tools that are necessary that get you to the next level. I want you to know that in my life, that has been a key tool. Whenever I needed to know how to be a husband, whenever I needed to know how to be a good father, whenever I needed to know how to be a good Jew, whenever I wanted to know how to pray, whenever I wanted to know how to study, I went and I took lessons on it until I got to the point, I got the tools. I can take it from here. And then I switch to the next thing that I have to better about myself. It's very important that you highlight what your deficiency is and you learn on it. You have to study. And the more you learn on it, just like right now, let's say you're struggling with Middot, you come into a class about Middot, this is it, that's the work, you're doing it. You're listening on how to better yourself on a particular thing, and you're acquiring a skill. Maybe you walk out of here picking up one thing, but that one thing will make tomorrow a lot easier than it is today. And that's all you really want to do. You just want to have a couple of good tools. Yeah, we have great speakers over here in this program. If it's Gedalia or if it's Rabbi Sprung, I mean, you could listen to them and take tools all day. I mean, you could walk out of there with being able to take on the world. They give it to you. Do that for a week. Do that for a month. Do it for a year. You're a different person. You're on the right track. You're going to have some good days this year. Less anger, less hate, more of a well-rounded life. Why? Because you're putting in the work. And right now it's fun. Got food, got drinks, you got good friends. It's easy. Back in the days, they used to have to walk miles in the mud and in snow to go to a little shtibel where there's one rabbi that teaches, out of one book. Life is good right now. It's everywhere. Torah is everywhere. Take advantage of it. See, everyone has a potential to be a tzaddik. Everyone. You just need to get the knowledge.
And to subjugate the ego.
Ego, by the way, stands for emitting God out. As soon as you take God out of the equation, you have ego.
What is the first word?
Emitting, taking out.
Emitting?
Yeah, E-M-I-T-I-N-G. Taking out God, emitting God out. When you take God out of your life, you have an ego. It's about me. You become the star of the show. And you should also know that knowledge is the Yetzer Hara's worst enemy. The more you know, the more he gets defeated. And the key to improving Middot, the key to improving your Middot is Musar. Have you guys ever heard this word, Musar?
Yes.
Okay.
Rabbi Miller, Tzvi Miller,
Yeah?
a book this thick.
So,
He used to give seminars on that.
it's the key.
It is.
The key to having
But nobody
control,
wants to hear Musar.
the key to having control of our mind and body and all the actions that follow is Musar. What is Musar? Musar in English is, the definition in English is a composite of Torah ideals and ethical principles. In other words, the rabbis took some Torah ideals and some principles that a Jew should live by, put them together, and they are giving us a message in the Musar. Many, many different books that you can learn from. But let's talk about Musar first. Musar stimulates our mind. It gives focus on the significant things that pertain to the Jewish mind and soul. In other words, a person can go right now and look at a Jewish library and say, which book do I read? What's important for me? Right? And sometimes you can get lost in there. You pick up the book and you're reading it and you're wasting time because you really need to work on something else. Musar gives you that focus. If you really want to work on something, it gives you a compiled advice on that particular subject from our ethics, from our heritage, from our history. And it directs us towards finding the truth in this world. You see, people have questions in life. People want to know where to go, how to get there. They want to know where they are in life. And you know, since we have free will, that we can choose going left, going right, doing good, doing bad, Musar guides us in the right direction. Okay, there's a daily battle between the Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov, right? The good angel, bad angel, right? And that can deflate a person. Musar gives you the strength and the tools to keep going. Musar helps us develop a genuine Torah identity and personality. See, teaching us what needs to be added and deleted from our raw and unrefined character as we prepare to hand Hashem back our soul, upgraded and refined. It's like a manual. See, a Torah Jew is not a lost Jew, mimicking going. A Torah Jew knows where he's going, and he knows how to get there. And if he doesn't know how to get there, he knows that there's a book that can lead him there. Many books that can lead him there. I want to give you a couple of examples of Musar from the most popular collection of Mishnayot, Pirkei Avot. Look at this. Not too long ago, right before Shavuot, we have the custom of reading Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers. And it's fully loaded with good musar. Give you an example. On the second perek, on the 8th Mishnah, I'm going to read it to you. I'm just going to give you a couple of excerpts, and you tell me. I'm reading you a couple of lines, and you tell me if it doesn't have an impact on you right away. If you don't feel that you can take what they just said and apply it. Okay. הוא היה אומר, מרבה בשר, מרבה רימה. The rabbi is saying, whoever eats a lot of meat gets a lot of rima. He's very haughty. מרבה נכסים, מרבה דאגה. Whoever has a lot of finances worries a lot. מרבה נשים, מרבה חשפים. A person who has a lot of women, he has a lot of witchcraft or sorcery around him. Because back in the days, women would dabble a lot in sorcery for some reason. It's no longer with us in that level, but back in the days, it was a common thing. Marbe shefachot, marbe zima, the one who has a lot of servants. Marbe zima, there's a lot of zima, people that are conniving against him. Marbe avadim, marbe gezer.
Intrigue.
What is it?
Intrigue.
Intrigue?
You said conniving against them. That's intrigue. INTRIGUE.
I like that. I love that. It's like the 5th assist today. I'm getting you ice cream after this. Marbe avadim, marbe gezer. A person who's got a lot of workers, he gets a lot of things stolen from him. Marbe Torah, marbe chaim. A person who learns a lot of Torah gets a lot of life. Marbe yeshiva, marbe chokhmah. A person who sits and studies gets a lot of knowledge. Marbe etzah, marbe tvuna. A person who takes advice, he becomes very wise and can apply his wisdom. Marbe tzedakah, marbe shalom. A person who gives a lot of tzedakah, he increases peace. Kana shem tov, kana le'atzmo. A person who has a good name, he got it from him. Kana lo divrei Torah, kana lo chayei olam haba. A person who acquired divrei Torah, he was able to get himself a portion in olam haba. Wow, fully packed. I can sit here for an hour and talk about each little thing one by one. That's just one. Let's look Perek Bet Yud Gimel. It says, Amar lahem, the rabbi told them, go out and look, what is the proper way that a person should acquire for him to lead his life? Rabbi Eliezer says, Ayin tova, a good eye. A good eye. Rabbi Yosha omer chaver tov. Rabbi Yosha says, no, a good friend. A good friend is better. Rabbi Yossi omer shachen tov. Rabbi Yossi says, no, a good neighbor is better. Rabbi Shimon omer haroet hanolad. Rabbi Shimon says, no, someone who can see into the future or can see or foresee what upcoming events might be. Rabbi Eliezer omer Lev Tov. Rabbi Eliezer goes back and says, a good heart. Amar lahem. He says, you know what? Out of everyone, I agree with Rabbi Eliezer that says a good heart is better than all of them, because if you have a good heart, you have all the things that we just mentioned. This one I'll go a little bit into depth into, just to open it up for you so you can understand. It says over there, he says, what's the right way to live life? So the rabbi said, have a good eye, that when you see something, judge it in good favor. In other words, you see a person that comes to shul and he's a half hour late. You can say, this guy is always late, right? But if you have a good eye, what can you say? Oh man, poor guy, maybe he didn't go to sleep last night. Maybe his baby kept him up to 3 in the morning. That's why he came up a little late. That's a good eye, right? You can say, oh, you know, your next door neighbor hasn't been able to, I don't know. We'll move on. What's Chaver Tov? He says a good friend. What's a good friend? A good friend is someone that you know. But typically friends, where are they? Maybe they're in this, you know, maybe they're 10 blocks away. Maybe they're in a different town. Maybe they're in a different city. Maybe they're in a different continent. Maybe they don't even live to you, even though they're good friends, but they're kind of far. So, Chaver Tov, you know, it's good to have a good friend, but if they're not close, what can they do? Rabbi Yosef says, Shachen Tov. He says, you know, it's better than that, a good neighbor. You know why a good neighbor? He's right there. He's right there. If he's a good neighbor, he'll watch the kids. He'll help you out. You can borrow a tool. You can hang out together. You can do barbecues together. He'll knock on your door to go to shul and to come pray or to go to a class. That's a good neighbor. Oh, that makes sense too. I like that. Rabbi Shimon says, no, you know what? A person that can look into the future and see things as they come up, that's a good trait more than all of them. And then Rabbi Elazar says, Lev Tov, a good heart. And then the rabbi agrees with him, Lev Tov, a good heart is better than all of them. What's a good heart? What's a bad heart? A good heart is, you're driving on the highway, and you see a guy with a yarmulke on the side of the road. And he has a flat tire. So you open up a Tehillim book, and you say, oh, may Bezat Hashem, that Jew has a big success to change his tire and everything works out. That's a good eye. You're praying for him. You know? A good friend or a good neighbor maybe would have done something different. You know, you can call this and that.
A good person.
Right. Lev Tov. What's Lev? Lev is feelings. So when you feel for another person, you have a Lev Tov. So what's a Lev Tov? You stop your car and you feel for the guy. Maybe he's late for to see his kids. Maybe he doesn't have a flat tire. Maybe his phone is not charging. He needs to call somebody for AAA. Maybe the tire is right there. He just needs an extra set of hands. You're feeling for the guy. The rabbi says, if you feel for another Jew, that's better than all of them. Just to show you, Musar, how beautiful. And there's many books that open it up more and more and more and more. I'm just skimming the top just so you can get an idea. I'll do one small one. Another one, Ted Zayin. Very nogea to what we're studying tonight. Rabbi Yoshua says, Ayin hara v'yetzer hara v'sinat haberiyot motziim et ha'adam min ha'olam. Rabbi Yoshua says a very interesting comment. The evil eye and the devil, or the yetzer hara, the evil inclination, and sinat haberiyot, and hating humankind, take a person out of this world. What's out of this world? He gets to die and doesn't go to the next world. Those are things that you don't want to deal with. In other words, don't have the evil eye and don't let the evil eye be on you. Don't play around with the yetzer hara, and also don't hate. All those things are formula for people to be out of this world and possibly not have share in the next world. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. We could do a whole series on Musar. But just one time, when I'm telling you Musar, rabbis put all these things together. You can learn from it, and it can open up for you how to behave as a Jew. And those are some examples that are tried and tested and tzaddikim approved outlooks on life. It's tips for survival in the world. And the more you upgrade your knowledge of what the rabbis taught us, the more you can protect yourself from deadly attacks of Yetzer Hara. Because the Yetzer Hara, what he wants to do is he wants to kill you spiritually. What you can do in 1 moment, 2 minutes, something that you do in 5 minutes that seems like nothing, can destroy your spirit or your spirituality or everything that you built up. So you want to watch out to that. Because at times, the things are small. And at times, they're big. And there are times that they're irreversible mistakes or reactions. And they're spiritually deadly mistakes. Musar gives you strength to stay on the right path. Eventually, you see it. And it comes down to a tagline of either you're controlling Yetzer Hara or the Yetzer Hara is controlling you. I'm going to finish up with this. There's a very famous letter from the Ramban. It's a letter of Musar that he wrote to his son. It's customary to read this letter once a week. They say whoever reads this letter once a week, he can ask one question from God and he gets it answered. It's incredible.
So I thought we were supposed to read it every day.
Well, it's customary once a week. He says it in the opening.
I read it, I also thought, so I read it every day in Spanish, and I memorized it.
Oh, amazing.
So but it says to read it, but then every time I read it, I'm saying it in memory, you know?
That's unbelievable. God bless. That's beautiful.
No, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is to read it with kavanah, you know.
Take a look at this.
Our family believed a lot in that letter.
You have to believe. Judaism is about believe.
Yes.
If you believe, it will happen. If you don't believe, don't waste your time. Don't just go through the motions. In Judaism, you have to believe.
Otherwise, it's too hard.
Yeah. Look at this. Shema beni musar avicha. Listen, my son, to the musar of your father. Ve'al titosh Torah imecha. Do not let go of the Torah of your mom. Because they say the mothers teach the kids the Torah. Because they're at home raising the kids. Where's the father at home? He's outside working. Titnaheg tamid adaber kol dvarecha benachad. Regulate yourself to constantly talk calmly. Lechol adam vechol et. To every person at all times. Ubezet tinatzel min hakaas. And with this practice, you'll get saved from anger. That is a very bad character trait that makes people sin. And so said Rabbeinu Zichrono Levacha, and this is what our rabbis told us, Kol hakoes, kol minei gehenom sholtim bo. We just said anyone who gets angry, all different spirits from Gehenom are controlling him. Shene'emar, v'aser ka'as milibecha, va'aver ha'am b'sarecha. Take away the anger from your heart so you don't get caught up in the devil's net. Very touching to what we were just talking today. That's his opening line to his son. I'm going to skip a little bit and just go to this part. It says, Al ken, so afaresh lecha, ech titnaheg b'midat ha'anava. Now I'm going to explain to you how you should behave and how you should act when you are humble. And you should be humble and walk in that way always. Kol davrecha yu benachat. Always speak calmly, and your head shall be down. Kafuf. Ve'enecha yabitu lemata la'etz v'becha lemala. And always be looking down, and your heart is to the heavens. Ve'al tabi lifnei adam v'lecha imo. Ve'chol adam yeh gadol mimcha b'einecha v'im chacham u'ashiru alecha chabdo. In other words, he's telling you, stay humble, be down to earth, and everyone is bigger than you, and keep in mind that Hashem is above you. In other words, we can go on and on, but you can see that the concept of musar, of a rabbi giving you instructions that are connected to the Torah, mitzvot, and maasim tovim, it's great. I can read this and I can walk away and saying, I can perform this, I can live this, I can begin to walk in the footsteps of my ancestors. I can do this work.
That letter was written like 1,500 years ago?
Ramban, I'm not sure of the time, but it's a very long time ago.
It's still in vogue.
Yes.
The song of the generations. There's a book called The Song for Generations.
And it says over there, at the end it says, Tikra ha'igeret hazot pa'am achat b'shavua. It says to read it once a week. And v'chol yom shetikayene, when you do read it, ya'anucha min hashamayim ka'asher ya'ala libecha l'shad olam v'sela. Whatever you will ask from the heavens, they will give you. Wow. You know what? I want to open up and say, Ramban, Let's go. I'm going to follow what you say, and then I'm going on your guarantee. But the thing is, follow what he says, and you'll get that guarantee. See, just reading a few excerpts of Musaf from Pirkei Avot and Ramban, you begin to feel that there's a wellspring of knowledge that we can draw from in order to gain spiritual success in our lives. Keep in mind, if you ever need to simplify it, that all we're learning tonight, you can always bring it back to that one tagline we said in the beginning. Ve'ahavta le'acha kamocha. Don't do unto others what you don't want to do to yourself. Because sometimes, if you want to expand on this concept, and you want to broaden this tagline, then you will start reading Mosai, Torah, Mitzvot, and it will open up for you even further. Again, when it comes to Torah, when you say 613, when you say books, people get maxed out. But when you say, just follow V'ahavta le'acha kamocha, it simplifies it. And when you feel that you're yearning to know a little bit more about it, start opening the books. Start going up to classes, and it'll get opened up for you one concept at a time. Musar connects us to our feelings. It connects the mind to the heart. Now this, when I read this, it really opened up something in my brain. The heart begins to feel what the mind is beginning to comprehend. You see, when you start learning, and the mind I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand. You know what happens? The heart and the mind start to shake hands. Yes, I get it. I'm starting to feel. When you don't acquire knowledge, when you don't study, when you don't learn, when you not open up your mind, there'll be a wall. Your heart will never feel God. But when your mind starts to open up, your heart begins to feel. I love that because it's true. I can testify to that. I want to give you a couple of tips that are very important before we leave. There's 3 good ways to improve your Middot. One is doing good deeds. Tzedakah, chesed, it changes a person. Do charity work. Do good deeds to one another, it'll change you. Have a teacher. Have a role model. Choose a rabbi that you're really into and emulate his ways. You can really learn a lot from a rabbi that's walking the straight and narrow in Hashem's ways. And have a reverence of God, Have an awe of Hashem. Walk around this world and be like, Hashem, I can't believe you created this tree. Hashem, I can't believe I saw 1,500 people today. They all look different. I can't believe how the day turns into night. Be in awe of Hashem. It'll help you. It'll help you. Here are good tips to get safe from hate and anger. First and foremost, you should know it's a sin to get to hate. It says in the Torah, Al tisna et achicha bilvavecha. It's a sin to hate. When you hate somebody, it's a sin. Getting angry is considered like idol worship, like we just explained. Think about it. Getting angry is like walking into that church and bowing. God is good, and all that He does is good. What did we say? Kol de'avid chamana letav avid. Everything that Hashem does is for good. Your angered opinion of a situation is not accepting what Hashem has in store for you. You have to accept life. Life is a custom. Every moment is a custom-made moment for you. Highs and lows. Accept life. It's a good tip. Gamzu letova. Have the outlook, Gamzu letova. It's all for good. We talk about the Rabbi Gamzu. That no matter what you told him, the first thing that he'd say, Gamzu letova. It's all for the best. I missed the bus. It's all for the best. I missed my flight. It's all for the best. I did. The box didn't come in the mail. It's all for the best. I didn't make it to shul on time. It's all for the best. Have that mindset. It'll help you. Know that anger sets you back hours, days, sometimes years. It's very hard to come back from anger. When you get angry, it robs you of moments in your life. As a matter of fact, Yetzer Hara wants to rob you of your life. The more you get angry, the more he can take chunks of your life away from you. 2 hours of your life because I'm angry those 2 hours. How about if you're angry for the week? He took that week away from you. How about if you can't stand that person, you're angry with him for a year? He took that year away from you. He wants to rob your life. Don't let him. You should have Avat Israel. It's number one thing during Inkvita de Mashiach, in the times of Mashiach. It's good to love another Jew. Do not hate another Jew. Dark skin, light skin, Sephardic, Ashkenaz. It doesn't matter. We should not have Sinat Chinam. We should love everyone. It's very important. And one last thing, that whenever you tell a Jew this, that's when it really starts to resonate. Not getting angry, not hating, produces parnasah. Gives a tremendous amount of livelihood. Do you know why? Because the rabbis tell us it's like this. Hashem has a big bag of gold, a big bag of money here. But before you can get to it, He gives you a challenge. He says, pass this challenge, there's your reward. Now, the minute you get into a situation with your wife, with your partner, with your friend, when it comes to fight, stop right there. Whoa, whoa. There's a bag of money behind this situation. There's a bag of money. So what do? Let me pass it and give you my reward. That reward for me is worth more than fighting or being angry. They say, what's the difference between adults and kids? Adults are more concerned about being right than happy. Kids are more concerned about being happy than right. In other words, a person can hold on to something, I am 100% right, I'm not forgiving this guy. Okay? Meanwhile, a kid can tell his parents, oh, Mom, I can't stand you, you're the worst mom ever. 2 minutes later, he'll give her a hug. Why? Because they're concerned with being happy. They don't care about being right. So when it comes to that, you understand, when you're in a fight, let it go. Whatever it is, it's not worth the anger, not worth the hate, not worth giving it to Yetzirah, and the reward is right there, should you pass that test. And know that Shalom, the peace, when you keep peace, that's the vessel that holds the bracha, the blessing. As soon as peace is gone, which happens when people get angry or hate each other or fight, that vessel breaks, and when Hashem gives it, what happens? It just goes straight down, it has nowhere to go. But if you keep the peace, the bracha stays. It's a good tip, because anger brings you to losing the peace. May we all be saved from anger and hate.
Amen.
May we have ahava and achva in our homes, in our communities, in our lives, and in our land.
Amen.
May we have the willpower and desire to work on our Middot.
Amen.
And get upgraded to a better version of ourselves.
Amen.
May we replace hate with love and anger with happiness.
Amen.
And may Hashem bless us with the knowledge of our sages to guide us in this world, so we shall merit to make it to the next world.
Amen.
Next week's class is Chokhmat HaPartzuf VaYadayim. A very, very interesting class, how you can tell a lot about your character through the palms of your hands and the shape of your face.
Sounds good.
Very, very interesting.
Sounds good.
שיטו ליבכם לחילה, פסגו אמונותיה למען תספרו לדור אחרון. שהשם יברך אתכם, שמח אתכם. Thank you so much for coming to the class.
And
I
we
truly
thank you very
appreciate it.
much.